Hey, what's going on? My name's Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about rejection, specifically rejecting people before they reject you. It's a defense mechanism. It really is. And it may have worked for you so far, may have kept you safe, but it also keeps you lonely. Ask me how I know about this. I've been doing it for a lot of my life. Let's talk about it. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey, first and foremost, I really want to thank you for all the feedback that I received from my last episode about autism and how it shows up in my life, the patterns of possibility, and it's just been really great. Some comments about how autism shows up in other people's lives recently diagnosed or in their families and other people who have been diagnosed, and it's just really refreshing to hear that feedback. So keep it coming. I really do appreciate it. And I'm glad to share my journey with you, because that's what this is all about, is sharing my journey, because I felt so alone. And I know that there's somebody out there who feels the same way I do. I just haven't met them yet. There's something that I can learn from their journey, and there's something that you can learn from my journey. So let's continue to stay connected. Let's continue to share with each other. You know, growing up, I was just made fun of a whole lot. One of the things that I think about is my big forehead. I can laugh at it now that I'm 41 years old and it's pretty far in the past. And I've reframed how I feel about those things and the people around me. So I can laugh about it now, but there were too many things that were just wrong or off or rejection worthy from other people. I just did too much. The way I spoke, the way I acted, my interests, the way I looked, the way I dressed, the ideas and concepts that I would share with other people, my actions and behaviors, all of that, just mannerisms were just things that people will reject me for. And having it happen day over day, week over week, year over year, it's been really hard because it hurts. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that rejection doesn't hurt, because ouch, we wouldn't avoid it if it didn't hurt. We would run into it if we just had a different mindset about it, or if it didn't hurt as much. But we all really want to be connected. I know this is what this podcast is about. This is why I started in the first place, because we really want to feel connection. And it's an innate part of who we are. We want people to accept us and to understand us. And those little quirks and those little mannerisms or the ideas or, our physical appearance, we want people to experience that, to look at it, to see it, to hear it, whatever it is, and to not flinch. Certainly, we don't want them to make fun of us. Rejection hurts because, experiencing that week over week, month over month, year over year, as I said, having that happen to you, you want to defend against it because it seems relentless. That was my position. I wanted to defend against it because it seemed relentless. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how I show up, somebody is going to reject me. And I didn't want that to happen. So my defense mechanism, and I went through many, maybe you relate to this too. Maybe you've gone through this and you felt this way. But I have rejected people, of course, before they rejected me. But before I got to that point, because I was the final piece, before I got to the point of rejecting people before they reject me, I did a lot of people pleasing, right? I did a lot of people pleasing because I thought, well, okay, I still want the connection. I still want people to be along with me. And think about this is I'm 41 years old now, but I'm talking about when I was a kid in elementary school, in middle school, a teenager in high school, a college student. I'm thinking about this my entire life. It's like, there's something that I'm doing wrong and I'm not able to connect with people. So let me figure out what it is. And people pleasing was one of the things that I did before I started rejecting people before they would reject me. Because I thought, I don't have the answers. I look around, everybody else is being friendly. Everybody else is having a lot of fun together. Everybody else seems to like each other. They're not picking on each other. So what am I doing? What am I doing that's wrong? So I moved into people pleasing and I realized that didn't work either. That definitely didn't work. So when that didn't work, I was really frustrated that, okay, I'm not doing the things that you need me to do. So I'm going to figure out what you want me to do. And then that moved on to just kind of asking people, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? How can I show up for you? What is the thing? And that got me even more teased and frustrated because obviously I should know. Like, you're an idiot because you don't know how to not get rejected. Ouch. Ouch. And so I thought, well, fine. No matter what I do, because I try and figure it out myself and it's not working. I ask you, what can I do? And you don't have an answer for me, or you make fun of me for the answer. So more rejection. So I think, well, okay, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how I show up, I'm going to be rejected. All right, got it. So this is what my brain started doing. This is what I started doing, this defense mechanism. I started looking for reasons why I could reject them, ways to reject them, push them away before they reject me, because I was going to be safe. I don't need you. You need me. You need my approval. I'm going to reject you before you reject me. So if you felt like that in the past, if you felt like that today, if you feel like that, it's only you just trying to keep yourself safe. I did it. And it did keep me safe, but it also kept me lonely. I really couldn't connect with people. And if you're at this point thinking, well, you've tried all the things. You've tried the people pleasing, that doesn't work. You tried asking them exactly what they need from you, or what you can do, or how you show up, and you tried to contort yourself and change and adjust. That didn't work. That got you made fun of. And then now you reject people before they reject you, and you feel absolutely lonely, feeling this sense of loneliness. What else is there? Because I reached that point. What else is there? I'm doing everything I could possibly do, and nothing's working. I must be the thing that's wrong. I must be the thing that's broken. Get away from me. I'm going to reject you all because I'm tired of anything and everything. I'm just tired of it. I was absolutely lonely and depressed. Lonely and depressed at that point. And listen, it doesn't really serve you to be there. There's something else that you can do. That's why I'm talking about it right now. That's why I'm talking about it. Instead of rejecting people before they reject you, what we really have to do is embrace that rejection. Oh, I can just hear you groaning right now. Oh man, what do you mean? Been rejected my entire life. I hear you. I just told you about it. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, I've been rejected. But here's the thing. We have to learn to differentiate between the fear and the reality. The fear and the reality, the pain of all the past experiences coming up and being rejected and feeling like that little kid who couldn't get anything right, who was made fun of, who looked goofy with your big forehead. You get rejected and you're like, I don't want that to happen today. I don't want to feel all those feelings, and you try really hard not to. But the only way you can really understand and use rejection to help you is to start focusing and believing that it's not about you. It feels incredibly painful. The fear of being alone forever because they've rejected you. This one person rejected you. These three people rejected you. It feels real. It feels like it could be a possibility, but it's only in the moment. It's only in the moment that this is happening. So the way to really not reject people before they reject you is to get really comfortable with being rejected, period. It's not to personalize rejection and say they personally do not like you. There's something about you. Even if they're pointing at you in the face and they're saying you, it's not about you. It's about them and their preferences. This concept comes from The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a really popular, famous book. And he talks about not taking things personally. Don't take things personally, because when you do, you inherit all of their ideas and their reality. And it's not your reality. It's their reality that they're living in, and they're projecting it upon you. So don't take it personally is basically what he says. And that's what I'm saying here. When you're dealing with rejection, we want to do a reframe. We want to start thinking more about how we can learn from this experience. I want to learn from rejection. It feels awful. When you want to learn from rejection is maybe that they're not the right person to talk to. Like, no matter what you do, say, no matter how you show up, no matter what you ask, no matter how amazing you can be to that person, there's something within them, because it's not personalized for you, but there's something within them that wants to get away from you. It's not your fault. You don't know what their life was like before they met you. You don't know what they were feeling. Being rejected is good information. I'm going to say that again. Rejection is redirection, and being rejected is good information for you to have. It's a statement about their preferences. It's a statement about their wants, their needs, and their desires. And if you don't fit within that, it's okay. What I learned from all the rejection, what I've learned, and anybody who is successful, and anybody who is around people who understand, appreciate, and accept them, they really know this concept, because not everybody out there is going to get you. Not everybody out there is going to want to understand you. It's going to try to be okay with your quirks. They're not going to adjust for you. So people know that. What you want to do when you get rejected is get really good at practicing saying thank you for showing me who you are. Thank you. I don't want to be around someone who doesn't want to be around me. And I'm definitely going to show you who I am, because that's all I can be. And if you don't like it, then that's fine. You have to give people the opportunity to reject you. You have to really get strong and okay with being rejected. So what I want you to do is reflect on your experiences. Because I did this. I reflected on my experiences, and I realized that rejection didn't come from anywhere, just anywhere. As I talked about, it's come from years and years of people saying, you're wrong, you're bad, you're not doing things right, we don't want to be around you, right? So what is it for you? Maybe it's this maybe it's one rejection that just shattered your confidence. Maybe you wanted to ask somebody out for a date, or you wanted to ask them to be your friend, or you were trying to get a job and it was something that you really, really wanted. You didn't get it. And maybe they were absolutely rude to you and it shattered your confidence. Where did that come from? Where did that fear of rejection come from? Maybe it was because you were in a toxic environment where your needs were constantly ignored. So maybe you grew up in a household, maybe you were bullied at school where you just weren't heard or understood, and you feel constant rejection. Maybe it was some trauma that is much bigger that has happened that you need to process. It might have left you stuck in fear and afraid of new relationships, of being hurt again. And it's really painful underneath. But once you sit with those feelings, once you get help and support, understanding where that fear comes from, that fear of rejection, you'll be able to face rejection. You'll be able to say thank you to those who reject you and move on to the next. There are 8 billion people on this planet. There's somebody there for you. Hey, Patterns of Possibility fam, I want to thank you so much for all of your positive feedback for the Supportive Connections course. The outpouring is just ridiculous. If you haven't heard about this, I dropped it a couple of months ago on my website, patternsofpossibility.com. Just click resources to get instant access to the free Supportive Connections course. You're going to learn exactly what you need to create healthy, supportive relationships. Because a lot of us, if you grew up in a household which you didn't see healthy connections, you were trying to figure it out all by yourself, you might not know what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship. This is for you if you find it difficult to communicate your own needs, or you feel like you always have unmet expectations in your relationships. If you struggle to recognize toxic behaviors, or you keep tolerating disrespect, manipulation, or control, this is for you. And it's free. Go to patternsofpossibility.com, click on resources, and get instant access to this free Supportive Connections course today. And now let's get to your listener letters. If you have a question about your friends, family, business, coworkers, then write me at patternsofpossibility.com and I might just read them out loud. This letter says, I'm a 27-year-old male and I've come to the painful realization that I don't have a single friend anymore. For the longest time, I thought I had a solid group of friends. People I've known for nearly 8 years. But over time, they started distancing themselves, and I didn't even realize it was happening. One thing I always thought was odd is that I'd often have to invite myself to their hangouts. I'd hear about their plans only after the fact, and I felt like I was being forgotten. I convinced myself that it wasn't intentional, but now I know I was just lying to myself. Recently, I'd learned something that hit me hard. Apparently, part of the reason they distanced themselves was because they didn't like how I acted around their other friends, mainly the girls. I thought I was just being casually friendly, but they felt I was flirting with every girlfriend of theirs. And that was a complete shock to me because in my mind, I wasn't trying to cross any boundaries. And to make things worse, there was an incident years ago when I was hammered and I was at a party. And in that daze, I apparently said some weird and uncomfortable things. I have no memory of what I said or what I did that night, but I guess I left a lasting impression on them. The thing is, they never confronted me about it, not back then and not at any point afterward. I carried on thinking everything was fine, oblivious to the fact that they were slowly shutting me out. Now, here I am, completely alone, piecing together why things ended the way they did. It feels awful knowing I may have made people uncomfortable without realizing it, and that they chose to quietly cut ties instead of talking to me about it. I don't know where to go from here. How do you process something like this and move forward? Any advice on how to rebuild your social life and maybe avoid these kind of mistakes in the future? Thanks so much. Well, I'd say that that's really difficult, of course, to have your friends just talk a bunch of stuff behind your back. Like, they watch you, they're watching you, and they're seeing all this behavior, but they don't say anything about it. And I really think that we would save a lot more relationships if we had this more uncomfortable conversation, if we could just talk about the difficult things right up front instead of sweeping it under the rug. My sister has a saying where she said this to me before, just keep sweeping things under the rug. Eventually you're going to trip over it. Eventually you have to confront it, or something has to happen. And unfortunately, in this situation, they just decided to cut you out. And that's really tough. That's really tough. It doesn't feel good to have that happen for sure. Looking back at me and my life and my situations, I definitely know that I did a bunch of things that made people uncomfortable, and that there was no reason or there's no way to talk to me because I just didn't have my ears open. I wasn't listening. I was in victim mindset. I really was. I was in victim mindset, and I couldn't hear anything that they had to say. I'm not excusing my behavior or their behavior, but that's one of those things that happens can happen when ties are cut like this is maybe they tried and you didn't hear them. But I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. And I would like to say that if you were open to it, because I like to believe that you were open-minded, the way you wrote this, it seems like you were really, really interested and you really want to connect with them and be a good friend to them. So if you're open-minded and they just were like, I'm not going to tell you, that's really on them. I know it sucks. It doesn't feel good either for that. Like, why can't people just tell me? So, because I prefer people to tell me if I'm doing something that's upsetting you or hurting you in some way, because I'm your friend and I have I want to have your best interest in mind. I mean, I'm not a friend with somebody I want to hurt. I don't want to do it intentionally. And if I'm doing something that hurts you and I don't know that I'm doing it, I'd hope that you bring it to my attention because I don't want to hurt you, right? It just makes sense to me that we would do that. But some people just don't have the skills. They're afraid of rejection. They don't know how to bring up the conversation. They try to go along to get along. They try to be polite. They try to just drop hints and assume that you'll know and you'll figure it out, right? So what they did, they basically just dropped a bunch of hits like stop inviting you to things, which was just really rude. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I thought that was really rude and indirect. And how are you supposed to learn from that? So what I would say is that being 27 years old, I mean, any point in life, but especially in your 20s, where you start to learn more about yourself and you'll start to discover how you are going to be in your 30s and beyond, really start deciding what your values are, things like that. You start to lose friends. You start to lose relationships that you've had before that were just connected on little things like going to play board games together or going out to drink together or going to restaurants together. And that was the crux of your relationship. And you talked about some silly things that really didn't matter, right? As you get older, you'll have new experiences and you'll want to talk about different things. And I'm saying this because you're at that age, no matter how the incident happened, you're at the age where you're going to start to see a rift in your relationships and your friendships. You are transforming and you are changing. They are transforming and they're changing, and the relationships kind of separate. So I want to say that because you'd asked, how do you process this? How do you move forward with this? How do you rebuild your social life? There are a lot of people around your age who are doing exactly that. And they continue to do that in their 30s and 40s as well when more values change, right? So this isn't abnormal. You are not alone in this experience. And to rebuild this, it's really looking at this as an experience with gratitude. Because now you clearly see that you want people in your life. I would imagine I would get from this, if I were reflecting on this, that I want people in my life who are going to talk to me about things that are important to them. I don't want people that are going to talk behind my back. I want them to bring it to me, because it seems like collectively they all decided we're not going to bring you around. That means that they were all talking about you instead of talking to you. And one of the things that I hold near and dear is that my close connections, my close friends, people who are close to me, they talk to me, they call me out, and they tell me about things that have disrupted them or are disruptive of me from their point of view. They'll say, hey, you're not doing anything in your best interest. And these are not the kind of friends that are going to be able to do that for you. And so learning from this experience, as you go search for new people, you probably want to make sure that they're kind of people that won't talk behind your back, or at the very least, they're going to call you out on the things that are important to you or important to them, right? So that's how you're going to rebuild your social life, is you're going to go back out there, you're going to go do things, you're going to go talk to different people, you're going to make sure that at the very least, they're able to call you out on your stuff. That's how you're going to start rebuilding, because it's going to help you from making these mistakes. You won't ever know unless you have a friend or reflection to let you know what's going on. So I really hope that helps. Best of luck to you, because you're 27 years old. You have plenty of time to learn about yourself and to experience more relationships and more friendships. You got this. And that's going to wrap up this episode. But before we leave, I'd like to ask you one more thing. Actually, I'd like to introduce a whole new segment called the Question of the Week, and it's going to be related to the topic. I'd love to hear more about your own personal experiences when it comes to rejection. So here's the question of the week. Have you ever pushed someone away because you feared rejection? How did it affect your relationship with them? Let me know what happens in the comments, or you can write me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com. And finally, I appreciate you being a listener. If you got something of value out of this podcast, please share it with other people and leave a 5-star review on your favorite listening app. We'll see you next time. Take care.